Morning, gang.
Morning.
Hey, we're just about to get started. Let me get everybody to come sit down. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Who are we still waiting on? Damn funny girls. All right. They'll come one more time. So. Okay.
Why are there two ones on one screen?
Well, because there's two classes. Yeah, get your book if you've got it. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world, but we're gonna look through it.
Mine has two thicker than my other mask.
Oh yeah.
This one's like way thicker.
This is a new one and it doesn't breathe as well as the other one does, but
Yeah.
this one says, seriously, learn science. I'm gonna make some
Apparently someone like had to deactivate Harry Potter Marauders mask.
nice.
The Harry Potter one turned into Marauders mask.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Why are you licking my computer, Elsie? I'm gonna make one that I saw online that you use craft foam and it stands off your face so it doesn't stick to your face so much, which really is something I need
We
because
make
I can't
Harry
stand it.
Potter mask. It's
Mhm.
one is all like the symbols of
Yeah.
like the houses, and then we do either like the snitch or something.
Yeah. I need a Hufflepuff. That would be amazing. All right, so if you have your book, you can open it to your page 2. No, you don't have to turn them in. We're gonna go over them all.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. We're not gonna spend a lot of time turning them all in and everything. Okay, I'm gonna open because I have a screen to share with my people at home. Oh, there they are. There's more girls. Hi, girls. Come on. You're fine. It's just the girls. Silly dog. Okay, let's see. Good morning, Jules. Morning, Ella. All right.
Yeah, I found it. Just grab the guy's advisor.
Okay, so for those of you at home, I've got this pulled up so you can hopefully follow along. Oops, maybe. Yes, ma'am. What you
I
got?
wasn't able to do my lab.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. We'll work on a way to get that taken care of for you.
Okay.
All right, so can you guys at home see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right, so you all right? You look exhausted, Ella. Was walking in just enough to wear you out?
No.
That's funny. She's like, ugh, sitting down. All right, so you guys in your book talked about this is kind of more of the basic how to do science stuff, right? So this was an introduction to matter in chemistry. So first off, I would like to know, how do you like having a lab book that you write in? Like, what did you guys think of that, as opposed to having the textbook and separate stuff? Did you guys like having the book to write in? I like it. I mean, this is a similar one. Oh, there's yeah. I think it's nice to have it all in one place, you know, and then there's just additional work in your binder. So all right, so let's have a look at our chapter here. And let's see. So the first things you guys talked about were pure materials and what a ratio is and what properties are, right? Can anybody explain to me what a pure material is, as opposed to, give me an example of like a pure material and then maybe a mixture. What do you think? Sometimes they'll call it a pure substance, which is typically used more often than pure material. Well, no, because water is chemically combined, so it's not a mixture.
There's a mixture of hydrogen and
It's not a mixture because it's chemically combined. So maybe your pure material might be your water. Sure. Or it
Which
could also.
one are we supposed to be on?
We're just looking in the book right now.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's okay. We'll look at that in a minute.
What page?
We're on 2. So it could be water, sure. It could also be any solution. So maybe like, or it could be salt or sugar. How about a tossed salad? Is that a pure substance or is that a mixture of things? What do you think? Yeah, it's a mixture, right? How about mud? What's mud? Mud's a mixture, right? So mixtures can be separated by a physical manner. And that's what we're going to do next week is we're going to separate mixtures, and it's going to involve some vacuum filtration, which is really kind of fun. And then when you talk about pure substances, very often you're talking about chemical compounds. Not always. Sometimes it's just a single element like oxygen. That's a pure substance. Oxygen molecules in the air. It's not one atom. It's usually more than one atom combined. But those you cannot separate physically. You have to separate them chemically. Or actually you can use electricity, which is fun. So yeah, mixture looks disgusting. I think that's guacamole in the mixture here. Yum. You don't like guacamole?
No, I do. It just doesn't look like
That doesn't look like appetizing guacamole?
soup.
You thought it was soup? It might be. It looked like guacamole to me. I don't know.
I don't like.
It has a lot of
Sometimes like guacamole.
And sometimes not.
Because I like avocados mashed up. I don't like all the other stuff they put in there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So how about a ratio? Who can give me an example of a ratio? Actually, who can tell me the ratio of boys to girls in this class right here? Because you guys can't see the screen.
It's like it's like this side is girls and 2 boys.
So what would the ratio be? Anybody know?
5 girls to 2 boys.
Well, you
5
put yourself
girls.
as a girl or older.
Oh, that's a good question. So if we don't count me, let's pull me out. 5 girls. Ella's got it. 5 to 2.
There's 3 people there because you and that counts as 2, and then there's 3 others.
When we get going with all the other video, it gets crazy, doesn't it? But on my screen, I've got 2 girls and Trev. So that's going to be 2 girls to 1 boy. So you can take ratios, and the cool thing about them is it's basically like a fraction. And you can multiply it or divide it. So if you have, for example, a recipe that calls for 2 cups of flour to make your chocolate chip cookies, and it says it'll make 4 dozen chocolate. Yeah, say you want to make, instead of 4 dozen cookies, you want to make 8 dozen cookies. So you double it, right? So instead of using 2 cups of flour, you're going to use 4. Everybody understand that? Okay, cool. All right, so this.
Because otherwise it'll like be some kind of crazy fraction.
Right. Well, very often you're going to get crazy fractions.
Well, if
Yep.
you do like weigh your ingredients, like if you're a real
True.
baker, then it wouldn't really matter if you had tripled it, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Because you wouldn't use like measuring stuff. You'd have to
True.
weigh your stuff.
But you still have to do the multiplication, and you usually get some interesting numbers for that. All right. So let's see. Now that we're moving on here, our winner for last week's Rico is Senya. Hooray, Senya. She's right here.
Can I see it?
Right there. Yes, I do have a picture of her, Senya. Hold on, let me move them over so you can see it. This is Rico's Senya. Senya's Rico, sorry. Ta-da! Hooray. So-
It's not yet done.
No. So, when
Yeah, because I
this is last week's one, yeah. So what we're gonna do is, Senya, when I send you your next lab box, I will throw in all the Smarties that you've earned as we go along.
Wait, I didn't know when we were doing it.
So anytime there's a homework sheet, hang on guys, anytime there's a homework sheet at the very bottom, look at the bottom of that one, Jules. See the bottom down there? It'll tell you how to decorate Rico. So if you've done a Rico, he's on the back, you can always hand him in or show him to me or whatever.
I did a different.
Oh, did you do a different one? Okay, well, that's okay. You can do, oh, he's cool too. All right. So maybe next week, look, I don't remember what next week's theme is, but they're all pretty fun. So who read the weekly email? You did? Okay. Anybody not read the weekly email? Okay.
I tried to, but today I was assigned to do it. That's when the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi went off, but you can read it later. So I put our lab teams out. All right, and I reminded people that you need to get up on the forum. Eleanor did this week. She found her lab team. She was like, hello, I'm here. Y'all need to do that because you're gonna get data for your labs.
Whose team is Eleanor?
Eleanor is on Blazing Chaos with Jack and Bailey and Ella. So if you get on if you get on our forum, go into your lab group and be like, hi, it's me. Because in the next couple labs, there's going to be data sharing. You're going to be collecting information, especially next week. And you're going to have to turn that in. And if you miss something while you're here in class, the best way to get it is going to be to go right to that group. Yes, sir, Alec.
Can we just get our team, in addition to doing the form, can we just get our team's contact information out of the group chat, so if you have anything else that, you know.
Yeah, y'all can do that if you want, but I've set it up for you and it's already organized. So, and it is basically, it's contained within your group. So it is like a chat within your group. All right, so if you've been absent, like Eleanor, you were absent last week, or you're cyber for now, you visit your team, you get your information, you had some trouble getting it. We had some trouble getting the captains on. Yeah, we had some trouble getting our captains to respond. So I'm gonna remind them all next time. So remember, if you are working from home, if you're a cyber or if you're cyber for now, and you have anything you need to hand in, send it to me as a PDF, okay? Not as a picture if you can.
You have to unzip a zip file.
Yeah, well, I'd rather work on a PDF because I can mark it up and save it and send it back. If I get a JPEG, I have to take the JPEG, I have to put the JPEG into a document. That's the thing. So I'm gonna upload the videos every week, so you guys know that, right? And you guys for some reason, your file got corrupted last week. It's never happened. It's never happened, but it happened last week. So.
That's a lot with videos, because the longer the video, usually like you're actually doing
So we're gonna continue to play it by ear how long we're gonna meet in person. Our grading's complete every week as much as I can. I get it done by the end of the day Tuesday, okay? So be sure to read your email if you haven't already. All right, and I put the syllabus parts in there that are important to you guys. So when we're you couldn't find what?
I couldn't find anything.
Couldn't find anything on the email. You couldn't find the email, or you couldn't find anything in the forum, or what?
I don't think I found anything.
I'll follow up, okay? Let me make a note of that.
We just corrected the PDF on purpose because we didn't do it.
No. All right, so I have files that say graded, ungraded. I know what's where. All right, so somebody tell me what matter is. What is matter? Drew.
Anything that takes up space and has mass.
Anything that has mass takes up space, right? All right, and then chemistry is the study of matter and how it changes. So we just talked a bit ago about what substances are. All right, so every form of matter has two kinds of properties. What are they? You know? Physical and chemical. All right, good. Now we're kind of looking in our notebook, right? You guys have your notebook out in front of you. And Trav's got a cat in his face. I love it.
Yeah. Is it black and white?
Yes, I just see its rear end.
It's Ringo.
Yeah, it's Ringo, yeah. So somebody tell me, what is a physical property? What's a physical property and how do you test it? What's a characteristic of a physical property?
I did this last night.
Who knows? Anybody?
Wait, what was the question?
What's a
Where's
physical?
property?
What's a physical property?
Most positive everyone knows. It's
Drew,
not just
do you know?
hardness.
That's an example of a physical property. What do you think?
Definition?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Laura.
Physical property is a characteristic of a substance that can be observed without changing it into a different substance.
Perfect. That right there is perfect. Perfect. So you can observe it without changing it into a different substance. Okay. So things like it has the examples listed in your notes, things like freezing point, melting point, boiling point, flexibility, ability to conduct heat, electric current. These are all physical properties. So what are chemical properties? Drew, you got it? Well, tell me what they are. Now, give me an example one. Alec?
I would just say things you can't get if you do something. When you do something, you can't get it back out of like baking. You like bake an
Okay.
egg, you can't really get the egg back out of that.
That's a good, yeah, you can't get it back out. So a characteristic of a substance that describes its ability to change into other substances. So if I were to put a copper penny down on this table, we would see that it's shiny, and hard. And if I put it on the table, it would probably be cold because the table is cold, right?
That's not,
So
your hand's warm.
that's true. But in relation to a penny that was in my hand, you're correct. My hand is warm. The table is room temperature. Right. To me, it would feel.
Actually, it's good. And again, the air just sucks the heat out of your hand.
Yeah. So these are all physical properties. But what if I left that copper penny outside for a couple months? What might happen to it?
It'll become hot.
It'll turn into a green Statue of Liberty.
It turns green. It doesn't rust. It turns green, right? It oxidizes. Yeah, the Statue of Liberty, what color is she?
She's bronze, but
She's green, but really she's made of bronze.
she's Shrek. She's Shrek.
And bronze is an alloy, so it's got multiple metals in it, and one of them is copper. So she isn't really green. She's really bronze. She should be a little closer to the color of a penny, but darker, like a darker brown. But she's not because she's out in the air, right? All right. So let's look at our homework for a minute, and let's see kind of what we got going. So we've got a list of 6 characteristics. All right, we have texture. Who thinks that, how about you, we do a raise of hands. Who's gonna say texture is physical and who's gonna say it's chemical? All right, who says texture is a physical property? Okay, well that's unanimous. Texture is a physical property. Good job. And how about the ability to react with other substances? Is that a physical property?
No.
Nah. Is that a chemical property?
Yes.
All right, good, chemical property. All right, which of my cyber people would like to tell me the answer to the next one? The ability to conduct heat. All right, Jocelyn.
It would be a chemical property.
That one's a physical property, but you're close because it's 50-50. So there you go. So yeah, that has to do actually with molecular structure a lot, but it doesn't have to do with changing the substance so much. How about hardness, Jocelyn? You want to give hardness a try?
It's a physical property.
There you go. That's a physical property. Now, how about the lack of ability to rust? Who's got that? Oh, Senya.
Chemical?
There you go. That's a chemical property. And how about its state? Who wants to go for that? Ella?
Physical.
That's a physical property. Very good. So, water. Water exists in 3 states on Earth all the time. Actually, it exists in 3 states in this room.
Physical.
Yeah. Yeah, that's physical. Yeah. So what are the 3 states of matter that water exists in?
Coronavirus.
Yes, Drew.
Solid, liquid, and gas.
Solid, liquid, and gas. So where's the example of water as a solid in this room? Anybody see it?
Ice.
Where's the ice? Yep, I have the ice right here in my, oh, look. Check that out, Jocelyn. Does that look familiar to you? There you go. This logo will look familiar to Jocelyn. All right. So where is it in a liquid state? Right, again, there it is. All right, how about as a gas?
Like steam.
Yeah, Drew? You see it anywhere? Can you see it?
It's coming out of that.
Sure, it's coming out of that. How about ice? Why do you keep taking your glasses off, Eleanor?
Because they keep getting fogged.
Because they keep fogging up. Why are they fogging up?
Because your
Because so for those of you who can't see her, Eleanor here, hold on, wait a minute. Let me flip this camera. Maybe you can, maybe you can show them what we're talking about. So Eleanor here has the glasses.
And
She always wears her glasses.
like I can still see without them, but if I stare at it at a certain point for too long, it gets foggy.
It gets
So-
foggy. Why is it getting foggy? There she go. And y'all see how
And then
foggy.
I can't see anything.
She can't see anything.
It's like too hard. It's
Right,
hard.
right. So what's happening? Who knows? Who can tell? Jocelyn can tell me.
Moisture is fogging up her glasses.
Right. So she
Clear.
breathes out. Yeah, she's going to breathe out. And when she breathes out, there is water vapor. Like when you breathe out without your mask on, you can't see it, but there's liquid. There's water in that air coming out of your lungs. But it's warm and it's in the air and you don't really notice it. But when it comes out of your top of your mask and hits under your glasses, it's going to condense back into a liquid and make that nice fog on her glasses. So it's only invisible to your eye in between, your lungs and when it hits her glasses. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So does anybody else sometimes in public just have to like pull their mask down to breathe?
Yeah, I admit it. There have been a couple times when I've had
What
to.
you mean though? He always wears his mask like this.
Yeah, that doesn't help, does
And then
it?
whenever he talks to me, he goes like this. So.
Well, that also might be because he's trying to be understood with his very heavy accent. All right, so let's look at this next part.
You do.
Yeah, you do. So let's look at the building vocabulary part here. I'm keeping an eye on our time. All right, so building vocabulary. We're gonna write a statement if it's true. We're gonna write true if it's true, and then we're gonna change the statement if it's false to make it true. Does anybody want to tell me what they got for number 7? Anybody? True. Lily says true. Yeah, true. Table salt is an example of a substance. Does anybody know the chemical name for table salt? Like in my shaker up there.
Sodium chloride.
Sodium chloride,
I
right.
was about to say something.
Sodium chloride, which is written as NaCl. And I'm going to put it up here because, right, well, so for those of you looking at me, it's backwards, I apologize. But
That turns into a whiteboard, Mom.
it looks like that, okay? NaCl. That's important because guess what you're going to be using in your lab today?
So,
NaCl. So you're using sodium chloride in your lab today, and so if you were to get it on you, it's not something to panic about. Like some things, yeah, there's going to be some stuff. There's going to be some stuff this year that we're going to need gloves and everything for. But today we will wear eye protection because we're using.
Protection if you're gonna mix food color and water.
No, we're going to wear eye protection because we have glass.
scary,
Or it's
bro.
like chemistry teachers when you use glass without wearing eye protection. Do you want to explode?
Well, does anybody remember when our beaker broke last year? We had a beaker that broke.
Nope.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even here.
Yeah, did it have
Yep.
like water in there?
Yeah, it did. It had water and oil in it. It was fabulous.
And then Eric actually, you know.
Okay, so who would like to do number 8 for me? Okay, Eleanor, you do number 8 since you did the last one. All right, go ahead. So what?
Oh, is that supposed to say it?
Yeah, read the whole.
Oh,
Read it with the
sorry.
correct word in it.
The chemistry, the study of matter is how it changes, called physics.
Right. So you would read it. And the new sentence says the study of matter and how it changes is called
Physics.
chemistry. Right. Okay,
My
good.
bad.
No, you're good. You're good. All right. So that would be chemistry. All right. Yes, Ellen.
If I prove that cats are liquid, will I get extra points on the test?
If you prove that cats are liquid,
They're not liquid.
cats are probably as much liquid as we are. That's pretty cool.
Or blend them up in a blender.
They do fit in containers.
Yes, they do.
Yep. All right, so
Yeah.
back to this stuff. Back to this. All right. Who wants to do number 9? Anybody want to do number 9? Well, let me see. Senya wants to do 9. Go ahead, Senya.
Matter is anything that has color and takes up space. Color should be
Wait a minute. Color should be what?
mass.
Mass. Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. You are right. Absolutely right. Everybody doing good? You check in as you go? See, I think what happened with this one is it accidentally gave you the answers, and I'm hoping that the dude that ran my copies didn't run the teacher edition for all of y'all. But I hope that's my mistake. See it at the top? It's not supposed to be there.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait.
That was not supposed to be there. So
And then my brain, my
Uh-huh.
eyes kept accidentally looking, I was like, well, I'm not.
Well, when I show up at Office Depot with my files, I showed up with 18 weeks of lessons. Your version, my version, their version, my version, lab version, and lab version that's mine, plus the preface, plus the covers and the spines. God bless those people. I mean, they get confused. All right, who wants to do number 10? Lily, you've been dying to do one. Go ahead, Lily.
False chemical.
So read it, the whole thing.
And the of a
Substance, yeah.
can only be observed if the substance changes into a different
Substance, right? So that's chemical, right? A chemical property of a substance can only be observed if the substance changes into a different substance. All right, good deal. And how about 11? Who wants to do 11? Ella, want to do 11?
A boiling point of a substance is a physical.
There you go. The boiling point is a physical property. Good. What's the boiling point of water? Who knows? Drew, do you know? 100 degrees Celsius, because we use Celsius. Yeah, Fahrenheit's different, but we're going to use Celsius because it's two, I always forget, two
I'm an
something.
idiot.
I always cannot keep that number in my head to save my life. That's why Celsius and metric is easier, because so what's the freezing point of water?
0.
0 Celsius. What is it Fahrenheit? That one's easy. 32, because we do weather.
We talked about when
Right.
Americans stop.
And when,
These Americans are way too stubborn.
wait, Drew.
America, heck yeah.
When the molecules stop shaking, or this actual.
No, we're not talking Kelvin. So Kelvin is more theoretical, but that's when all particles in atoms stop moving. Absolute zero.
Does that
Yeah.
mean gravity doesn't work either?
No, that shouldn't do that. All right. So before we move on to what our next bit of stuff is, look back at your book for a minute. See what else was covered. Make sure that we talked about it all. So did anybody have any trouble with any of the blanks in their book, or did y'all pretty much find what to fill in as you went along?
Ella,
You worked together.
We couldn't find.
Couldn't find some of it? Okay. So like, that's fine. So which page are you guys on? 3. All right. So why don't you turn to 4 and 5? All right. So you had a Venn diagram at the bottom. Do you guys know how to do those? You seen them before? So it had a glacier and a geyser.
Oh, we did this.
You see that? Okay, so the glacier and the geyser. So basically the way a Venn diagram works is you write the qualities that are different in the circles and where they intersect, you write what's the same. So for example, right here, oh boy. So let's do a Venn diagram with, here we go. That's what we're doing. We're just going to practice one. Because you will probably see them again in your life. How about we do a Venn diagram with, here we go. Superman and Iron Man.
That's DC versus.
Ah, okay, you just said one. DC versus
Marvel.
Marvel. Hang on.
Marvel was easy.
I picked this one for a reason.
Yeah.
There's no, like Spider-Man versus someone like Wonder Woman, like.
Bingo! They're both superheroes.
No question, Avengers would win. Yeah.
They're both superheroes. So they should. What can?
They can both fly.
He's smart.
Wait a minute, hang on.
Beat the crap out of them.
Wait, what'd you say?
Genius billionaire playboy.
They can both fly.
They can both fly. There you go. That's why I picked these two. Okay, but how does he fly? How does
Science.
he flies with tech, right? Technology.
Tech.
And how does he fly?
He flies because he's born with the power.
Superman powers.
Powers, right?
That's
So that's how a Venn
They
diagram
both use
works.
lasers. They can both control lasers.
Yeah, but hers are more powerful because they come out of his hands, his chest.
There you go.
Oh, I
But
remember that
that's
scene
how a Venn
before?
diagram. Drew. That's how a Venn diagram works, right? You put whatever they have. Come here, puppy. This dog just wants to be in my lap.
Oh,
I know. I love you too. Oh, I
Hi,
know.
puppy.
He's licking your mask.
He is. He's licking my ear. I'm not a fan.
He's like, Carrie's like, I'm giving you kisses.
Right? So if we look at this page in your book, okay? If we look at this page in your book, it asks, describe 3 properties of a frozen fruit bar. So what are some 3 properties? What can you come up with? Mm-hmm. It can melt. Yeah.
Solid.
It's a solid. Mm-hmm. What else?
It's cold,
It's cold. Yep. Lots of things, right?
but if you put it in then it melts.
Right? What'd you say? Who's someone said something? Senia?
Solid.
Yep. Okay. So how about, will any of these properties change after a couple hours in the sun?
Of course.
Yeah. What's going to change?
It's gonna not be a solid. Oh, sorry.
No, you're right. It's going to not be a solid or cold. Yeah.
State of matter.
The state of matter, right, Jocelyn? The state of matter is going to change. So now it talks about a charcoal briquette. You know those little things that you put in your barbecue grills if you don't have a gas grill? You ever seen them? What were you going to say? Yeah, it turns into ash. So it says, how do you know that flammability is a chemical property? And Jules just said it, because it's going to change its form. It's not going to look like that anymore, right? It turns into ash. What you have, Sanya?
Um,
Sanya. Say it one more time.
never mind.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I
That's fine. Okay, So melting point of table salt is 801 degrees Celsius. Is that a physical property or chemical property?
That's a.
Physical.
Okay. Close enough.
And it says, under your little draw conclusions box at the bottom, it says, helium does not usually react with other substances. Does this mean that helium has no chemical properties?
No. This is easily.
Yeah? No?
No.
But what are we talking about? We're talking about it says not being able to react is a chemical property, right? So that is a chemical property. The fact that it doesn't react is a chemical property. So things that don't react, we tend to use a lot. You'll see a lot of that in your day-to-day life. Stuff that's highly reactive, we don't usually have in our day-to-day life because it can be dangerous. And then there's other things that react and the reactions aren't as maybe as dramatic as you might expect. Like last week we talked about sodium nitrate, remember? Yeah, so the other things react like, you know, your sodium and, sodium bicarbonate and acetic acid, that's your vinegar and baking soda. Everybody knows that one, right? We've all seen that. So that definitely, those are reactive, but they're not dangerous to us in the quantities that we have, right? All right, now as, let me see, what's another good one? Oh, here. The wax in a burning candle can be described by both physical and chemical properties. Describe what are the physical properties of the wax in a burning candle. Oh, there you go, Jocelyn.
It's liquidy and it's dripping off the candle.
Yeah, it gets
And
soft.
it'll be hot, very hot.
Yeah, very good. So then why is the melting a physical property of the wax?
Because
Does it change it into a different substance?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It just makes it soft. It doesn't change it. So now here's one. Have you ever tried to burn a wick without wax?
yes, I
What
done
happens?
that one time. It just like goes straight.
It just burns straight down, right? So the wax is actually flammable. So that's a chemical property. It doesn't burn so fast that it disappears. It actually slows down the burning of the cotton. Now, lesson 5 is when we're doing our flame test, and that's super fun. And just for the heck of it, I had a little project this summer, and I attempted to make saturated wicks, so candle wicks that are saturated with specific chemicals. So for those of you that are online, I sent you a little tea light, and everybody here is going to get a little tea light, and we're going to light them at the end of our lab and see if we can get them to burn a color. And if they do, then we'll have to see if we can tell what chemical the wick was saturated with. Eleanor.
What is the fire test?
So fire test it's a flame test, and basically it has to do that with all chemicals have a certain spectrum that they will burn. So we will take chemicals and put them right in a flame, and it should change the color of the flame.
It's basically what the little flame packets fit when you pour it.
Yeah, like you
we
put in a
actually,
fire.
one time when it was snowing, we put fire on the snow and it turned blue.
Oh, cool. Neat. Well, I have some fun chemicals upstairs, and I know which ones are okay to just. I know which ones are okay to toss on a flame. So when we had a fire pit last spring, and I was tossing certain chemicals on our fire pit, and it changed color. It was really fun. What do you want to say, Laura?
Also, I have a question. How come the chemical reaction when we put menthols in the Coke goes up? I have
Because it's bubbly and
We should do that experiment.
Combination of something that reacts to it in the Mentos.
Yeah,
Well, the
I need to look
Mentos
up
are
that
mint.
specific.
the
Yeah,
Mentos are mint and it's very carbonated.
it does have to do with allowing the carbonation
The
to
Some
collect quickly, but
mixture they do in the mentions probably
Mhm.
activate.
You would have to look at
makes
the
it
red
bubble.
ingredient thing of the.
yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but I did it once for fun and it was cool. It was very cool.
I'm gonna use diet because otherwise it'll be some of the ants crawling around and they exploded.
Yeah.
That's never happened to me.
So you guys did most of you guys have done your test from last week. A couple of you were a little behind catching up. And it looks like most of you guys did all right on that. So remember that there's always a chance for extra credit too. So if you're not happy, you can always add the extra credit. Who remembers how to do extra credit?
How to do extra credit?
Yep, how do you do extra credit in this class? Who remembers?
Draw the Rico.
The Rico gets you candy, but not credit. Who remembers how to get extra credit? Anybody?
Extra credit.
So take your binder, and if you take your binder here and you flip to the preface at the beginning, right?
You read the email.
Now the email you should read anyway.
Okay.
It should be it's page 3 in your preface, right beneath the grading scale. It says extra credit.
Page 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Students may complete up to 3.
What'd you say, Sonia? Somebody said something.
I was just reading it out loud.
Oh yeah, okay, good. She read it out loud. So it says for extra credit, you can complete up to 3 questions from your textbook's applicable chapter review, assessment, or standardized test prep. Because depending on which book you have, they have different sections. So your book doesn't so much have it does have a chapter review, but it's like, you got to get through all this. You got to get through lesson 1, lesson 1 this, lesson 1 that. So your chapter review for you guys, let me see what page it's on for chapter 1. It's going to be on 1-4. Hang on. Oh wait, it may not be in your book. But what you guys have is you guys have the that little bit at the bottom where it says assessing your understanding. Oh, and there's your chapter review. So yours is on page 30. 31 is your review. You see it? So what you can do is you can take, as the extra credit says, any, so look at, you see page, if you have your book, your binder book, I can't even speak today. If you have your book and you look at page 31, you'll see it. But you can take up to 3 questions and then you just complete them and you submit it on a separate sheet of paper or email if you're online, but you have to title it extra credit. So I know what it is. You got to put your name on it and you have to tell me where you got the questions from. So you could say chapter 1 review, page 30. Now, what you guys read was chapter 1, section 1, right? So if you read chapter 1 or chapter 1, lesson 1, so you would have to go through and pick the questions that were applicable to lesson 1. So if it's something we haven't covered yet, then obviously it's from lesson 2, 3, or 4. You don't want to answer those. You could also, for you guys, you could do this thing at the bottom where it says assessing your understanding. You could do those too. If you find a couple of those that you want to do, you can throw them in. But what I do is I'll bring up if you get those right, I'll add those points to your test score, and the highest you can ever get is 105, okay? So if you've got 100 on your test and you still want extra credit and you hand in all 3, I can give you credit for 1 of the 3. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Because it's good to have the opportunity to get extra credit.
I like it when my grade goes down whenever I get 100.
Your grade goes down? Well,
Yeah.
hold on here. It'll go up if you get hundreds.
No, because I'll keep extra credit.
Oh, okay. So after class, you're going to keep your labs day in your binder. So those of you who are working from home, the lab for today has already been filmed, edited for time, and put out on our YouTube channel. And it's linked. If you go into your Teacher Ease, it's already linked there with the lab assignment. The link for the YouTube video is there. So I took the whole lab, which takes a fair amount of time, and squished it down. Yes, Sonia?
I looked and I didn't see it.
Okay, so if you
I
tried
only saw
the lab before now, it wouldn't have opened because I had it set to show at a particular time. But if you go back now after class, it should open. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then So what you're gonna do for homework is, for those of you at home, you're gonna watch the lab, fill everything in your fill everything in your lab, in your binder, and you can send me those pages like you guys did before. Everybody else here, we're gonna fill in as we go, and you're gonna keep it in your binder. The point of today's lab is to teach you how to do a lab, how to measure, how to get mass, all that kind of stuff, okay? All right. You're gonna go ahead and start lesson 3 for next week.
Oh, lesson 3.
And you're gonna turn in your homework next week, okay? You're also gonna do your lab next week, you're gonna turn in, okay? So that should be, oh, stop, Ozzy. Hey, growling at the door. All right, so does, come on, Drew, I didn't tell anybody to go yet. Do any of you guys on my screen have any questions for me before we split? You're good? Yes, Senya.
So we're supposed to turn in our lab next week before class or after class?
Preferably before. If you can get it to me before, that's great. If you get it into me after, that's okay too. But it's good to get it in before, because that way I can get the grade returned to you quickly. If you are somebody who didn't do your test, there were some issues with that, I'll extend the date, we'll talk about it, okay? Anybody else online have any other questions? Anybody here have any other questions?
I'm pretty
Did somebody have something? You guys good? Okay, so y'all look over here. Tell Senya and Jocelyn and Trav, we'll see you next week. Later. Bye, you guys, good to see you.
Can I close my
Bye.
Bye.
Get your lab out and stay